Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Leadership Synergized. I'm your host, Kevin Smith. Today is special because every now and then we meet someone whose work doesn't just inform us, it moves us. Someone whose writing captures humanity, heart, and the deeper stories behind the people we all admire. My guest today, my friends, is exactly that kind of storyteller. Mirin Fader has a gift for uncovering the soul inside the sport, the purpose behind the performance, and her work challenges us to look closer, think deeper, and lead with greater empathy, curiosity, and courage. My friends, you're about to hear wisdom from a writer who elevates every room she enters and every story she touches. Currently, Mirin is in the process of writing a book on NBA Hall of Famer Larry Bird. So lean in, settle in, and get ready, because this conversation is one you'll carry with you long after it ends. Welcome again, everyone, to this episode of Leadership Synergized. Our special guest from last week, Ms. Mirin Fader, sports writer, sports author, is back with us again. And if you missed last week's episode, I encourage you to go back and check it out. Mirin has written two highly successful books, one on Giannis. I know I'm not saying that right. You pronounce it much better, Mirin. My Southern Indiana accent gets in the way. And then Hall of Fame Hakeem Olajuwon, who won 2 NBA championships, if I'm not mistaken, and was highly regarded, played with the Houston Rockets and had great success. But Mirin has written 2 books. The Hakeem book is the most recent, correct? Coming out in the fall of 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the book writing process and what it meant to Mirin and why you selected and how you got started. You know, with your first book, it kind of came across in a very serendipitous manner.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to take a little time, Mirin, and get to know you, the person. And, you know, you obviously have been a basketball player. You told us you were 7'5" tall last week when we talked, and even the camera doesn't do it justice in that piece. No, I'm just kidding. Let's back up a little bit and just talk about Mirin and what attracted you to athletics, basketball in particular.
You know, it's so funny. Like, I was playing all sports except for basketball, right? I was in soccer, I did gymnastics, I did ballet, I literally did everything. And then in 5th grade, it was like lunchtime or recess time or something like that. It was clearly like a meal time. And it's so bizarre. I just saw all these boys at my elementary school like running towards the basketball court. It was like a stampede. I was like, I don't know where are they going? And it's so weird because I don't really believe in, I don't even know what I believe in as far as being called or all of those things. Like, I think I'm still kind of working out spiritually what I believe in, but literally something in me just was like pulled to go where they were going. And I was like, I want to go, where are they going? I want to see. And I just started running with them, and I went down to the court, and I kid you not, it literally was love at first sight. And I dribbled and I shot around. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I want to be involved with basketball. And like, was I good? No. But I was so in love with it and so just determined. It's funny because that was the first day I also wrote him a journal because I was like, I wanted to tell somebody how excited I was about this game that I had discovered. And I just remember I was so determined after that. I was the first girl to join my elementary school boys basketball team. They didn't have a girls team. So yeah, so that's where it started. It just started as like an innocent moment of curiosity to like, no, I need to be in the WNBA. I was all in after that point.
Wow, that's very cool. And I think you indicated last week you played a year of college basketball, correct?
Yeah. So my whole goal, especially as we joked about my height, being 5 feet tall, I knew like the road was going to be so hard. Like there were so many people like, you're too small, you're too this, you're too that. And so I worked my whole life from when I was like 5th grade all the way up to college. And I played my first year at Lewis and Clark College in Oregon. And that originally wasn't even supposed to be the plan. I had this awful ankle injury, and it just kind of ruined everything and the recruiting, but they were the only school that still, was interested. And so California girl went to Portland. It rained every day, did not like it, had to come home. But yeah, I felt like I pushed basketball as far as it could go.
Well, wasn't another NBA Hall of Famer, the late great Bill Walton? Didn't he go from California
Right.
to Portland too? Right, it ended up with the NBA championship, if I'm not mistaken.
And he really loved it there.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
A little different from my experience, but you love the bookstore there, Powell's bookstore, but that's it.
I love that. That's great. So, Mirin, in our discussion last week and the time we've spent together, we've talked several times now. And again, God bless you. I appreciate you giving up your time because you're very busy. You have a number of projects and a full-time job, and just means a great deal to me and our viewers and listeners that you would take and carve out this time for us. It means so much. Man, you come across as someone, and the old cliche or analogy, right, is to be successful, one has to think outside the box. I've kind of had my experiences and time frame through my career of life that says, why should we even see a box to even have to think out of? You
Right.
seem to be one that's never saw obstacles or seen an anchor to hold yourself down. Last week, I think, when you were talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, about the drive and dedication to complete your books and the challenges at time, I got a sense that one of the things you had to check back on for self was just that competitive piece that more than likely has come from that athletic experience.
Yes, I still think like an athlete. I still have this like I'm gonna prove you wrong, basketball player mindset. It's so true. I feel like I loved what you were saying about the box because it's almost like I'm drawn to the box just to be like, hey, I'm gonna tear this thing down. Like that, it's almost like my joy is to like go find the thing that people don't think I can do and then try to do it. Like my whole life was really about kind of not fitting into a box, I'm small, I want to be in the WNBA. Now I'm a sports writer, I'm a woman. Like it's all men. Like there's just I never really fit in all of these spaces. Sports books. Everyone is 20, 30 years older than me. Like I'm too young. Like it's just like every time I want to do something, I'm not the exact audience or the right demographic or whatever. I go into the locker room, I'm always the only woman. And then compounded by the fact that I'm short, people, I've been often mistaken for an intern or somebody's little sister.
Mm.
I even had an NBA player say, "Where's the reporter?" I'm like, "I'm literally right here." Right here. So, my whole life has been about just proving that I'm capable and the competitiveness in me, the athlete kind of really actually likes those challenges. And yeah, I'm just at a place now where I'm just like enjoying being competitive without thinking, oh, they don't think that I'm capable or this or that. I've kind of been able to stick with the competitiveness part and less about the doubters or what. I know it sounds so lame, but yeah.
No, I'm amazed at times that some of the things that we've all learned over the past 50 years, 40 years still pop up.
Right.
Things like the good old boys club mindset,
Right.
decision
Right.
making, drives me absolute nuts, Mirren, whenever that
Yeah.
I sense and see that. There's just no rhyme or reason, right? You are such an example of it does not matter. It being any of the demographic categories that we all get placed in doesn't make any difference on whether or not we can be successful. It's
Right.
that drive and choice within and that perseverance and resilience that I sense you represent in everything you do.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. Seriously, it's so kind. I mean, I think yeah, it's like, are you the most prepared? Did you go over your notes 3 times before interviewing the athlete? Did you make sure that you interviewed as many people as you could? Did you always make the extra call? All those things instead of like, how tall are you? Or like, are you a man or woman?
Mm.
Like I think it's just like, are you prepared? Can you do the job? First of all, can you make the deadline, which separates so many because we don't have the privilege of just like writing in our bathtubs, oh, I'm just gonna write an article. Editors like it's due, come on, turn it in, and you're just trying to like get enough sleep, cook,
Mm.
clean, do all your work, see your friends, call your parents. Like there's so much going on at one time. And so I feel like it really just comes down to like work ethic. It's just like how much are you willing to work?
There is no magic recipe or formula, right? It really
Right.
is just rolling up the sleeve and putting the elbow grease into it and going forward. And you alluded to something a moment ago in our discussion in the past two episodes that jumps out at me, framework wise. Obviously, I'm a huge proponent of leadership. When I began a career, it was very much the corner office making the decisions, and you just went about it because he or she said so. And
Right.
we've learned so much about the value of leadership, whether it was the character traits Dr. Covey introduced in the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, John Maxwell's work, Coach John Wooden and his Pyramid of Success going back almost 80 some years. And there's so many other examples from Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Jesus Christ being the best leader to walk on the earth. We've learned so much. One of the things you mentioned a moment ago was that many times people look at us and judge our experience level
Hmm.
in that aspect. Well, you may not quite have the experience, you may not be quite ready yet. But one of the things I've taken away from studying leadership, and a number of leaders, I think, either directly state it this way or allude to it. But if we're truly going to be lifelong learners and understand our purpose, whatever that is, whether it's a faith-based focus or not, we really should approach everything with a first time or a beginner's mindset, not one who's learned it all, so to speak. And too many times, I don't know about you, I sense that people I'm interacting with or, in a seminar that are teaching, you sense this expertise point that they're reaching on their own. But really, our passion for learning, the passion for success, it may grow from looking at everything as the first time. In 10 years, if you're writing your 15th or 20th book, that passion of just like you did the first one is going to help you continue to be successful and continue that constancy of purpose that you want to have.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I for so long, and it's still a struggle, struggling with perfectionism. Perfectionism
Mm,
does not allow the creativity and innocence that you're talking about that I think is so crucial to succeeding. Children don't think about perfectionism. There's an
mm,
innocence to the way that they approach things and do things. There's not a fear of failure. And
mm.
if you look at whatever you do, like through a child's eye, it's a completely different mindset. So instead of like, I have to perform, I think to myself, I get to create, and it's kind of like thinking of it like the first time you do something. And I know it's not the same, but like of course, like everybody else during the pandemic, I became like a baker and I had never baked before. And it's become one of my favorite hobbies ever. But I think it became such a great hobby because I was approaching it through a lens of newness and curiosity and non-expertise. It allowed me to have fun, and then it allowed me to get better at it and better at it from a standpoint of fun instead of performance. And so I try to like keep that mindset whenever I'm doing my actual work because so many times, expectations, pressure, all these things come in. It's like, actually, think of it like you're baking a cookie, like some cookies are weirdly shaped. Some are a little browner than others. Some fall apart when you put it on the mat, whatever. They're all different in their own way, but they all taste amazing and they were fun making it. That's kind of the mindset that I'm trying to bring to my books, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And from my perspective, as long as the chocolate chips are melted, it doesn't matter what they look
That's
like
it.
because it's going to disappear in a matter of seconds anyways.
That's it. That's it. And then a second later, three are gone. Exactly. Exactly. We're
Yeah,
on the same page.
I will only have one, right?
Yeah. The famous last words, five later.
Yeah. So, Mirin, you hit upon a topic that I had intended to ask earlier, but when you think about your books that you've written so far, on Giannis and then Hakeem Olajuwon, I assume there was some anticipation that you had of what you expected when you started diving in. Are you willing to share a little bit about maybe something that you thought would go one direction, but it ended up going another as you did your research and then the actual writing?
Yeah, I mean, the first one was really difficult because I thought that I was going to be able to go to Greece, but I
Mm,
got the deal right before the pandemic. And
mm,
so we weren't allowed to travel.
okay.
And so it was a huge, huge challenge because how can you recreate for the reader Athens when you're not in Athens? So, I had to work double hard and ask people to send me videos and find all these technological ways to view the city that, instead of just using my senses, so that was really an obstacle I did not think was going to be there, and it was really hard. The second one, I didn't realize there was just so many myths about Hakeem Olajuwon out there. Like I think that's kind of also what's cool about books and biography is like in sports, we play up our legends, right? Because that's what they are to us,
Yeah.
legends. And over time, you don't know really what's true and what's not. Certain things get played up, the story, it's like the game of telephone. By the time it gets passed down to the third generation, the story is like wildly different. And so part of the difficulty was like, what's real and what's not? How do I how do I know what really happened 40 years ago? And there are limitations. The person who first discovered Hakeem Olajuwon in Lagos, Nigeria, he's passed away. So I think there were just certain obstacles like that I was like, well, I don't have control over this, right? I don't have control whether there's a pandemic or not. I don't have control whether this person is alive or not. It really it books are an imperfect medium. You're trying to get to the heart of the truth as close as you can while knowing you may never get there.
So there's a little bit of decision and judgment aspect on the path you want to take with a topic or a point of emphasis that you want to share.
Right. Yeah, you're constantly adjusting. You're constantly learning things and maybe it's different from what you thought. And then you've got to go back, okay, who do I know? Who did I speak to that who could I run this by that might have more information? Like it's kind of like they say with writing, writing is rewriting.
Mm.
Well, reporting is re-reporting. It's picking up the phone and being like, so I just heard this. This feels weird to me. What do you think? And it's that's how you sort of figure it out.
You just talked about picking up the phone, which kind of highlighted the success of all of us really depends on the relationship and the level of connection we're able to make. That's got to be
Yeah.
so valuable for someone when you're writing a book and gathering information.
Oh my God, it not only is it the most valuable, it's the best part because you're just connecting with people that saw the subject, might have stories. That's the thing we don't realize. Everybody has a story. And especially about a famous person. It could be somebody who watched it, 40 years ago, but everybody has a unique vantage point about that subject. And as the author, you've got to talk with everyone, as many people as possible to build that reporting because unlike today's age where it feels like people can just say whatever they want on the news, this is like you actually have to what you write is based on your reporting, who you talk to. It's grounded in fact. You're looking at archival research. You're going back through the newspapers, it's like it's this constant work of trying to get the story right.
Well said, my friend. Great words of advice. Thank you for sharing that for our viewers and listeners. Well said. Well said. Well, viewers and listeners, if you think listening to Mirin is fantastic, go read her book. She's a wonderful writer and had great success, and there's much more coming. And Mirin, again, thank you so much. I know you've got better things to do than sit on a camera with some guy named Smith, but this is wonderful. We're learning so much, and you're just making a difference with everything you do.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, you're the best. This has been really fun. No problem.
Well, God bless you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. God bless it. Wow. What a gift today's conversation has been, Mirin. Thank you not just for joining us, but for the extraordinary way you bring stories to life. Your writing doesn't simply entertain, it enlightens. It teaches us to see people fully, to lead with compassion, and to value the quiet truths beneath the headlines. Your dedication to your craft, your relentless curiosity, and your respect for the human experience, well, they shine through every word you write, my friend. And today, they reminded us all of why storytelling still matters, why great storytelling changes people. To all who joined this episode, thank you for spending this time with us. And Mirin, truly, thank you for sharing your heart, wisdom, and your remarkable talent with the world. We're all better for it. God bless you, my friends. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep leading well.